Well, hello and welcome to Unleashed. We've got another action-packed show lined up for you. This week, we're at the American Tactical Canine Association training event at the Muscatatuck Urban Training Center in Indiana. ATK9 is committed to providing world-class canine training to law enforcement agencies across the country, regardless of size or budget. And this week, we'll get a peek inside to see how this kind of training is having an impact on communities across the country. Right here on Unleashed. There are over 86 million dogs in the United States, but only a select few are considered elite working or sporting dogs. From police and military canines to hunting and sporting dogs and everything in between, meet the dogs your dog aspires to be. Get ready to see man's best friend in a whole new light. This is Unleashed.
Yeah, I'm Jean-Claude LeBlanc, the president of American Tactical Canine Association. And basically a little of my background is I started off in the military straight out of high school. Ended up in the special operations and started off as a ranger, went special forces, and then decided to go become a dog handler. Did that for about just under 10 years. And while doing that, I really found my passion for it and decided, hey, this is something I'd like to do. Okay, so what was it that made me want to become a dog handler in the first place? I'll be honest, it was kind of a plan B. I was actually trying to do something else and I wasn't so successful at it. So one of my buddies recommended, hey man, there's some other options out there. And he recommended, hey, why don't you try out to be a dog handler? Didn't know anything about dogs, went and tried out, and I was successful at doing that. And then immediately I was fascinated by it. I was pretty senior along in my career when I tried out for it, so it was very humbling for me, like being that senior of a rank and feeling like a private all over again, because I really had no idea what I was doing. So yeah, it was one of those where you really had to put your ego to the side if you wanted to be successful. And of course, which is very hard for guys like us that, you want to seem like the tough guy amongst the tough guys. And when they're telling you, hey, sound like a little girl and praise your dog up and this and that, you're like, man, are you messing with me, bro? And then like, no, so anyways, yeah, that was very humbling. I got bit a few times, and I'm sitting there picking up dog poop in the kennels, and I'm like, man, I didn't see my career going this way at this point. Anyways, man, I stuck it through, and I did. I really loved it. I was fascinated by it, to see these animals do the stuff that you train them to do. While I was doing that, I had the opportunity to travel around the country and train with other law enforcement entities. And, we were very fortunate to have world-class trainers. We really did. So when we went around and saw some of the different law enforcement agencies, you just kind of realize that, man, they're definitely not as fortunate as us when it comes to budget, when it comes to training resources, time to train, and so on. So I wanted to make available something that could change that. This concept was in the works a while ago, and finally we came around to doing it. So we decided the best way to do this would be to start a nonprofit. That way we could solicit donations through private citizens and corporations that wanted to help handlers out. So it being a nonprofit, then we could raise money and hold these conferences at a discounted rate for handlers. But not just that, one of the goals is that we want to provide training to guys throughout the year. So we'd like to raise that money and help Department X in the type of training that they feel they need, but their department doesn't have the budget to help them out and do so. So hopefully we can raise the money for these departments and give them the training that they need through all the generous donations that people can do. So that's kind of where, like, how the concept started.
For your active dog, not just any dog food will do. It takes special care and nutrition to support their energy to work and play. That's why we made Kinetic Performance Dog Food. Each Kinetic formula is made with 3 animal proteins and no fillers like corn, wheat, or soy. This lets you feed less and still get more energy, faster recovery, and better weight maintenance. If health and performance matter to you, give Kinetic a try. We build it for our dogs, but you'll love it for yours.
When it comes to elite canine and handler training, the best of the best turn to one place, Von Lick Kennels. Von Lick is the premier full-service canine training center and detection service provider in the world. Their world-renowned training methods and experienced training staff produce the best canine and handler training available anywhere. When only the best will do, join over 5,000 law enforcement, government, and civilian agencies who count on Von Lick Kennels.
Okay, so right now we're at the Muscatatuck Urban Training Center in Butlerville, Indiana. This is a National Guard run facility, and it's a world-class facility. It really is, especially in the canine world. It offers you everything you can imagine when it comes to environmentals, different types of structures, subterranean, you know, high-rise building, collapsed buildings, flooded villages, rural, urban. I mean, anything that you can think of, you've got it here in one facility that you can come here and not have to travel all over the place and waste precious resource time to go bouncing around training site to training site. It's all right here. Like, I don't think there's a training apparatus here that's further than 2 minutes away.
Muscatatuck, you name the type of training environment that you want to train in, and more than likely Muscatatuck has it. Scenario-based training, getting the dogs and the handler into as close of a real environment as we possibly can. And just the sky's the limit on whatever you want to do out there. At ATK9, we feel very lucky to be able to hold our seminars at Muscatatuck, because it really is, there's no place like it that I'm aware of.
Training is essential no matter what. That's one of those, like, if you plan on going home, if you plan on your dog coming home, you have to train. You have to train all the time. And one of my trainers always said, man, you get what you give. And if all you do is the bare minimum when it comes to dog training, that's what you're going to get out of your dog. And that's what you're going to provide to your teammates.
Well, the dogs, they're animals, they're sentient beings, and they're always thinking. And if you don't stay up on that training, then skills begin to drop. It's just like firearms training. You know, a firearms trainer will tell you the minute you leave the range, your firearms skills begin to decline. It's the same thing for the handler and for the dog. You got to keep that training up to keep the dog sharp, to keep the handler sharp. You know, when a canine team is out there deploying, we want them to be able to do things by almost instinct, and the only way that you can do that is to build muscle memory. The only way to build muscle memory is to do good, solid repetition on a routine basis, and that's why training is just so important.
You have to be the best that you can be. You have to put the time into that dog. You have to figure out those weaknesses and items that need to be addressed so you can fix that, be an asset to your teammates, to your dog, to your family, you know, so you owe it to all of them so you can come back at night. So, and then on the law enforcement side, man, you want to make sure you do a service to the public. You don't want to be going out and making the wrong decisions, using excessive force, especially in today's day and age. So training is paramount, no matter what you do, whether it's military or law enforcement. So yeah, it's definitely essential.
The goal, when I would speak to Jean-Claude LeBlanc and Mike Pennington and other instructors that were involved in getting this training together, is we want these K9 teams to be better when they leave than when they got here. We want them to take, we want them to, if they didn't already know, we want to expose some flaws maybe, some things that they need to work on, and show them ways in which to do that. But also, you know, we don't want to break the handler down too. We want to point out the things that they're doing right. And, you know, you got to find that balance there where you're not critiquing the team to the point where they feel like they can't win and give up. You want to try to motivate them to get better, to train harder, to just continue to work and work and work until they get to the top of their game. And I always tell my handlers, you know, about the time you get to the top of your game is about the time that you got to retire your dog and you got to start all over again. So it never ends. It literally never ends.
And I feel like this is my way to give back to the community. You know, now that I'm done, I want to help these guys out and again, be able to provide them the same level of training that I was able to get when I was in. And part of this is to, hey, you get to work with these world-class trainers and you identify different strengths and weaknesses that your current methodology and training program has. And from there, take these skill sets and be able to address those weaknesses and just continue to improve.
Do you have passion? Do you have drive? Of course you do. But do you spend your days doing what makes you happy? If you're not doing what you love, you're wasting your time. Top Tier K9 is not just a dog trainer school, it's a business school. We seek those looking to join the pack. We are driven, we are passionate, and we are strengthened by each successful graduate. Time to work some dogs.
I need you to get me out of the country, out of here, away.
All in exchange for a sip of coffee?
Yeah, it's Black Rifle Coffee. Let's try some.
Later, loser!
Why don't you head over to blackriflecoffee.com and get yourself set up with a coffee club subscription.
So I know you feel protected in the suit. Don't make any sudden movements without me there giving specific instructions. You got it?
Dogs love it.
I heard that you just bought insurance online. You really should work with somebody like Tom, who has the experience and knows what he's doing.
Oh, really?
Safari Insurance is an independent agency. They represent companies like Auto Owners Insurance. They guide you by showing you all the coverages to keep you safe. Then you decide what fits you best. They guide, you decide.
My name is Donnie Meyers. I'm an instructor with ATK9, and I'm the lead instructor for the Cincinnati Police Department K9 Squad. Well, ATK9 is completely different from what we're able to do back at home in our agency. It's completely different than any other seminar out there. Most of the seminars out there, and they have good instructors, they have, have good intentions, but generally speaking, it's a lecture type of training where handlers come and listen to subject matter experts give a lecture and give their knowledge in that form. What's different about ATK9 and training at Muscatatuck is that this is most of the training is scenario based and you're actually working your dog. So you get to get in there, you get a scenario and you do what you would do on the street, and there's a lot of positive and negative feedback. You could have done this better. Hey, you did this great. And if you're going to make a mistake, I'd rather, with my handlers, if my handler's going to make a mistake, I want them to make it in training, not on the street. And I think that's what makes this incredibly important is because the handlers get an opportunity to get as close to real life training as they possibly can get and still be in a controlled environment. So if mistakes are made, no one's going to get hurt, and it's incredibly important. And the instructors that we have at ATK9 is literally the who's who of the canine world. So you can literally go from one outstanding instructor to the next, and another one after that, and another one after that.
I feel like this is my way to give back to the community. You know, now that I'm done, I want to help these guys out and, again, be able to provide them the same level of training that I was able to get when I was in. And part of this is to, hey, you get to work with these world-class trainers and you identify different strengths and weaknesses that your current methodology and training program has, and from there, take these skill sets and be able to address those weaknesses and just continue to improve. There's also a huge networking piece with this. Not only do they get exposure to all these different trainers, but they also get exposure to handlers from all over the nation. I mean, this one we've had guys from, we're here in Indiana, we've had guys from Texas, California, Georgia, Florida, Connecticut, Canada. We've had people from all over the place, not just this immediate region. So these guys' ability to network and see how each other operate and exchange tactics, techniques, and procedures, you're not going to be able to beat that.
We sent 11 handlers from our agency and probably another 7 or 8 from surrounding agencies. So we had, you know, approximately 20 canine teams from this part of town that went to Muscatatuck and spent the week up there. We learned a lot. We came back to training, and you know, one handler would say, "Hey, let's try this. I learned this up at Muscatatuck from you name the handler, Justin Rigney, or you name it." And you know, and training, you know, all of a sudden, guys are thinking outside of the box now. It got us out of our rut, and you know, which is inevitable. You know, a training rut sometimes happens, and perhaps we were there. I can tell you that as an agency, as a trainer that is in charge of training a large unit, and then outside agencies, it was refreshing to come back and to see the motivation that these guys had when we got back. They were just chomping at the bit. They were ready to use what they learned, both in training and on the street.
I don't think people really realize how expensive this type of training is. If you were to try to bring in this caliber of trainer to your organization, it's you're not going to get that for $500. You know, it's going to be quite a bit more expensive. So that's why these type of venues are really advantageous for organizations. And again, with that type of training being so expensive, that's why we're really trying to solicit these donations to help these departments out and try to offset that cost so they can attend this stuff. And it really is kind of twofold. It increases the survivability for these officers and their canine partners, and it also makes for a more professional police officer and animal as well. That way, these guys are better trained, and you know, they're already very professional, and now it brings them to another level, which again prevents them from making the wrong decisions, you know, and allows them to better serve the public, you know, and so it's advantageous to everybody.
Are you tired of the same old toolbox that doesn't keep your gear organized, clean, or protected? Then you need a cam locker. Our exclusively designed aluminum toolboxes have hefty T-handles, insulated lids, and feature the cam locker system, the toughest aluminum toolbox lock. Proudly manufactured in the USA, Cam Locker will be the best and last toolbox you will ever own. So keep your tools and gear secure with a Cam Locker toolbox, the key to security.
Feel like the season just got started? Well, there's no reason to stop hunting now. At Highland Hunting, you can enjoy a great upland experience through the end of March. Located in southeast Iowa, we have over 1,200 acres of diverse upland habitat with the best flying and wildest birds you'll find at any upland outfitter. Our incredible staff and great accommodations let us show you a true Iowa upland experience at Highland Hunting. Give us a call and schedule your next adventure today.
No matter what you feed, sometimes your dog needs a little help to keep them at the top of their game. For some dogs, it can even mean the chance to just live a normal, healthy life. Our Kinetic Supplements are formulated to meet specific needs to get and keep your dog at optimal health and performance. Your dog will love them, and you'll be amazed at the difference they make. If your dog needs an extra boost, give Kinetic a try. We build it for our dogs, and you'll love it for yours.
And there's a social contract there between human beings and the dog where you are asking the dog to put his life possibly in danger for yours, and in return all he asks is that you give him a bowl of food, fresh water, affection, and just being cared for.
What is it to me that's so special about a dog? And that's actually kind of hard because there's so many things, but I think it's that unwavering loyalty. You know, they really ask for nothing and give you everything. And it's truly being selfless to their handler. And man, we owe it to those dogs. And no matter what you do, no matter what type of background you have, you could be an MWD handler, a police handler, a SAR dog handler, or a normal pet owner. You know, like it's every single dog has a bond with their human, and probably more so than most humans have with each other. So I think that right there, and how they give so much and ask for so little in return, you know, is what's amazing about these animals. And they do, like they just give everything for you, and that to me is like, you can't ask for more.
Just a absolute 100% willingness to do what we're asking them to do. I mean, they're willing to do it. They want to do it. They wake up every morning and want to do it. You know, every police dog that I've ever worked, if I even walk past my car and the dog thinks I'm getting into it, it gets excited, you know. So for some reason, God put into these animals this willingness to do things for mankind. And for us, it's been a godsend for us, because there's no doubt in my mind that these dogs out there all over the country and all over the world are saving police officers' lives every day. I believe that.
My first working dog, his name was Buddy, and he was a black German Shepherd. So Buddy taught me a lot, and I've had several dogs since him. I was actually able to retire him after several rotations. But Buddy wasn't the best behaved dog. Buddy taught me a lot about my failures as a handler, and the stuff that I neglected to teach him. So he made me a better handler with all the dogs that I received after him. You know, he was great at doing his job, but again, he just wasn't the best behaved dog. So he made everything a lot more difficult for me. And I realized that, hey man, I can't do this with my next animal, because it's too much to manage. So, you know, I decided that I need to change things, and I did. I changed the way that I did things, and I put way more time into my dogs. And, you know, I never made that mistake again. And like, I look back and buddy's passed now. But yeah, like I feel like I failed him in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of guilt to that. So, you know, he did. Like he taught me everything. And
well, once again, we've come to the end of our time together. I hope you've been inspired by the level of commitment these dogs and handlers have to be better officers out in our communities. If you want to get involved, visit ATK9.org and help a local canine team out by donating any amount that you're able to. I hope you've enjoyed this week's show. We'll see you next time on Unleashed.